AV in your ears, that's Ambush Being, giving you this audio visual down the most interesting street in the world. With my voice, Steve, Fascination Street, you already know. Let's get it. When you whip in the Fascination Street, what do you...
Hey Streetwalkers, this is a throwback episode with Mighty Mighty BossToneS frontman and founding member of the Defiant Dicky Barrett. Dicky first appeared as a guest for the 400th episode, which aired on February 26, 2024. It was such a compelling and fun episode, I decided that it needed to be revisited. So enjoy this throwback episode, tell a friend, and thanks for listening.
Hello, my name is Dicky Barrett. I'm in the Mighty Mighty BossToneS, and I'm in a band called The Defiant. And you're listening to Fascination Street with my good friend, Steve.
Yeah, AV in your ears, that's Ambush Being, giving you this audio visual down the most interesting street in the world. With my voice, Steve, Fascination Street, you already know. Let's get it. When you whip in the Fascination Street, what do you...
Welcome back, Streetwalkers. This is the 400th episode of Fascination Street Podcast, and this week's guest is the godfather of skacore, founding member and former frontman for the Mighty Mighty BossToneS, now founding member and frontman for the new band, The Defiant, Dicky Barrett.
Welcome to Fascination Street Podcast, Dicky Barrett. What's up, dude?
How are you, Steve?
I am freaking fantastic. Ask me why.
Thought you were going to ask the questions, but I'll ask you, why are you freaking fantastic?
Because I'm getting to talk to you, dude. Oh, dude, you're a legend. Some actually call you the godfather of ska.
Godfather of ska-core. It's more specific than ska.
Oh, look at you correcting your own nickname.
I know. I made up my own nickname.
What's the difference between ska and ska-core?
Ska-core is something that we invented. Ska is something that we were inspired by and influenced by, and something that we loved as kids. And when I say we, I'm talking about the Mighty Mighty BossToneS. Me and my friends were just super ska enthusiasts, loved it. Personally, I first fell in love with the second wave of it, the English stuff, Madness, Bad Manners, The Specials, The Selector, English Beat. I always hate forgetting some of those bands, but the great bands of the English movement in like 1977. And then from there, I fell in love with the Jamaican stuff of the 60s, maybe even the 50s. But we were also Boston punk rockers and hardcore kids. So we had that influence as well. And then when we started making music, people needed to know, what do you call your music? What is this? And we just said, well, it's BossToneS music. And that didn't satisfy anybody. So then we called it ska-core, and we named one of our records ska-core, The Devil and More. Then it became actually a genre of music, and other people started saying, we're a ska-core band too. And at that point, I said, well, I'm going to call myself the godfather of ska-core.
So you gave yourself that nickname?
Yeah. But why not? I'm not shy about that either, because I don't really think anybody else would want that nickname.
I don't know. It's pretty sick.
Thank you, dude.
You're welcome. Did you also name the Mighty Mighty BossToneS?
Probably, but I think we were fish. I didn't name the Mighty Mighty part. I think I called it the BossToneS. And we had a bunch of other less cool names that were floating around. And, it's very difficult to name a band. And I think we got lucky with the Mighty Mighty BossToneS, and it ended up being that. But at first we were going around town, we were calling ourselves the BossToneS. And then we made a record and we were putting it out. And then someone said, there's another band that was called the BossToneS.
It was spelled different though.
Was it?
Yeah, it's BOSS.
That's what we are.
No, you're BOSS? Two S's?
No, we're BOST.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Was it? I'm sorry.
Yeah. The BossToneS, the
doo-wop
group from the Philadelphia, they're BOSS.
They're from Philadelphia?
Yeah.
They're not even from Boston?
Nah, that's what I understand.
Oh, the BossTones. Oh, I get it.
Right.
So you've completely confused me now.
That's what I do. Welcome to Confusion Street.
Somebody was calling us the Mighty Mighty BossTones. This guy who tended bar at our favorite watering hole. And, you know, in order to avoid the confusion, had I known that spelling thing, we would have never been the Mighty Mighty BossTones. I just heard someone else was called the BossTones. I could have used you.
Oh, yeah. Hey, well, maybe there was some other group that I'm unaware of. So you have a huge eclectic career. It goes all over the place. It goes into music. It goes into announcing. You do all kinds of crazy stuff. Oh, real quick, how many Vans Warped Tour shows did you guys play?
I couldn't tell you the number of shows we did, but I think about 4 tours, actual tours. But then you got to count Australia, and that was a separate tour, so maybe 5.
Oh, rad.
I'll call Kevin London.
You won't. How do you think that doing those Vans Warped Tours helped to get your name out? Because that's where I first heard of you.
I think we had some success before going on the Vans Warped Tours, and that's probably why they asked us to be on the Vans Warped Tours. But we loved doing it. We loved being a part of it. We loved being considered one of the Vans Warped Tour bands. I think it was an excellent thing to do and a great way to spend a summer if you're in a ska-core band like I am.
Sure.
And was at the time.
I have a couple of questions about growing up in Boston. One, growing up on Queensberry Street, what was it like to actually get to play, as you say, Fenway Park?
It's interesting that you know that. What did you do? Look at the map? How did you know it was so close?
Magic. I'm a stalker. I should rename the show Stalker Cast because I stalk the shit out of you.
You do excellent research.
Oh, I'm not even halfway there yet, bro. You're going to love me.
Amazing. But I lived on Queensberry Street. The Boston song Toxic Toast is actually about living on Queensberry Street. I lived in an apartment with legendary skateboarder who's no longer with us, Jake Phelps, who was actually the editor and the main guy at Thrasher magazine for many, many years. And he was my first roommate. Me, him, and a guy named Andrew Brady lived in apartment, kind of squatted in an apartment on Queensberry Street in Boston. In a very crazy and fun time in both the history of Boston and my life. And we were punks, so sports fans weren't all that thrilled with us as we skateboarded through the area. But I was also grew up an enormous Red Sox fan. My father loved the Red Sox, as did I, and me and my brother had been to many games in my lifetime growing up. And so to eventually be able to play there was absolute thrill, Steve. It was great. We did it twice, I think. That I'm sure about. We did it twice.
Did you pinch yourself both times? Were you like, I can't believe I'm here?
You know, privately, half the time I'd walk around like, oh, I'm supposed to be here. But, you know, if I stopped for a second, I would go, there's no way you're supposed to be here. And, you know, you're on the field. Some other kind of Red Sox things happened during the course of being in the Mighty Mighty BossTones, like in the season opener, I think in the year 2000, could have been 2002. They asked us to premiere a video there. And the day before I went to Fenway Park, and they gave me a uniform, and I walked around in the park in a uniform and introduced the song. So they were filming footage of me all of a sudden. So the next day I came up on the Jumbotron and go, you know, welcome to opening day of the Red Sox. I'm Dicky Barrett. And I'm actually like came out of the dugout. So people were like, oh, who's this guy? And then, oh, shit. The team looks horrible this year. And people realize it's a thrill. You know, anytime you're involved with something like that, it's pretty special and exceptional.
Speaking of pretty special and exceptional, if I understand correctly, the very first show that you played with a band, you opened up for the Misfits?
The very first, yeah. Yes.
How did that happen?
Okay. That's a good question. I was in a hardcore band called Impact Unit. 4 kids, part of the Boston hardcore music scene. The guy named Sam played the bass, and a guy named Ross played guitar, and a girl named Julie played the drums. And then I was the singer, and we were, I think 17 years old in high school. And, you know, there's only so many Boston hardcore bands. There was 5 or 6, and then the Misfits were coming to town. It was a legendary show. They actually came to town and filmed a video the day before in Boston. And you can look it up. The video was called Brain Eaters. And one of the members, or two of the members of Impact Unit were in that video, but I was at high school the day before, so I couldn't be in it. Along with members of other hardcore bands like SSD and DYS and the FUs, they were in that video as well with the Misfits. So the next day, following the video shoot that I wasn't able to be in because of damn high school, we opened up for the Misfits at a club called The Channel.
What did that do for you? I mean, I know that it probably gave you a big boost, and it didn't do a whole lot for Impact Unit. But did that give you a confidence that you didn't previously have? I mean, you're already 17. I mean, only 17. You're in high school still, and you're opening up for one of the greatest punk bands ever.
That you don't put in, you don't know. I mean, now we know it was just the Misfits. This is great band. We had their records and we loved them. And they're coming to town, but you're sort of focusing on what you're going to do and what, so when you're allotted this time and when they say go, you go on stage and, so there's so many places to be inside your head that kind of going, oh my God, I'm opening for the Misfits is sort of takes a back seat at that time. And if you do get all up in your head about that, then you're never going to do it. I was more thinking like I had these songs. We spend a lot of time in the practice space playing these 35-second songs, then you go, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to jump off the stage or I'm going to, so you don't even know. You're sort of kind of trying to develop yourself and imagine how you're going to be. As a 17-year-old kid, that's fun. And that to me was what I was interested in. I wasn't really much of an athlete and I wasn't killing it when it came to grades. So, and I loved music and I loved punk rock and I was a part of something and allowed to be a part of something. And I held that very near and dear to my heart. And it was very special to me, and here's my chance, get the hell on stage. And when I do, I hope I'm good. And I don't know if I was or not, and I don't care, but I remember thinking, 500 years ago when that show was over and I was talking to the other three people that were in that band, it was like, that was awesome. That went well.
Dicky fucking Barrett. I hope that's your real middle name.
I disappoint you. It's Michael.
No, not anymore. I just changed it. Dicky fucking Barrett.
The first name might not even be my real name.
Why do you call yourself Dicky? I want to know that.
I didn't call myself Dicky. I had two uncles named Richard on both sides. On my mother's side, her brother Richard, he was called Dick when he was little. He was a Catholic priest. And then on my father's side, his brother was named Richard and he was called Dickie too. And he was a firefighter. I was named after them. I was born in 1964. So we're talking growing up 60s and 70s in Boston, so it's very Irish place and it's a very kind of Irish name. And I was never super fond of it, but I could never really escape it either.
That makes sense.
And I don't have any real love for Richard, although I guess now I like it better. But at this point, what are you going to do?
Yeah, right. It's been a minute. Me, on this side, my dad's name is Steve.
Yeah.
My name is Steve. My brother's name is Steve.
Come on. Why?
And my son is named Steve.
Why do you and your brother have the same name?
Different moms.
Okay. That is a narcissist.
My sister, her name is Stephanie.
Oh, my gosh.
All right. We're going to talk about you.
No. I got more questions on this.
All right. What you got?
Okay. So, Steve, is your father always been in San Antonio?
He was born in Lubbock, but basically he joined the military and he did boot camp in San Antonio and then stayed in San Antonio until he was probably 53 or something. And then he moved to, where the Floribama is?
Yeah.
Yeah, he lives by that. So he lives like on the border of Florida and Alabama now.
And Steve's still with us? Steve the first?
Yeah, he's only a couple years older than you, man.
How old are you?
I will be 50 in May.
50, okay. Seems about right.
But we're not here to talk about me, dude.
Come on.
When did you know you could sing? You have a very distinctive, gravelly voice.
See, Steve, I can't sing.
No, that's bullshit. You know it. When did you know?
When it comes to real singers, when it comes to real singing, if what Frank Sinatra did was singing, then what I do is, a million miles away from it. I never really thought I could. I was able to. I was part of choir and stuff like that in school and, traveling choir, and I was selected to sing, but it was mostly my confidence and I'll do it. And I'm not all that afraid to do it. So that led me to it. When I realized I wanted to be in a band and I could be in a band once punk rock came around. And before that, I didn't imagine for the life of me when I would look at or listen to Queen or Pink Floyd or bands like that before punk entered my life. And I didn't look at Freddie Mercury and go, oh, I can do that. But when I found the Ramones and I fell in love with the English punk bands, I said, well, I think I could do that. And I loved writing too. I loved writing poetry, lyrics, and songs and that sort of thing. And still being realistic and not going, I'm a wonderful singer. I thought I had a unique and different and original voice. And I thought no one could sing my lyrics the way I could. I was confident that way. But I've always shied away from calling myself a singer.
Godfather you own, but singer you don't? That's funny.
I know, really. I'm a very strange and unique sort of narcissist.
Sweet. This is probably the last bizarre question out of Boston.
None of the questions are bizarre.
Oh,
and actually, they're very good. And actually, you're very good at doing this.
Oh, my gosh. Dicky Barrett. Thank you so Dicky fucking Barrett. Thank you so much. Okay, so this might be a wild herring, but it is my understanding that in the mid-'80s, there was a band in Boston called the Oysters.
Yes.
And they had an album called Green Eggs and Ham, which, if I understand correctly, you drew the cover art for.
It was a Tang record. Those were friends. The Oysters were members of another band called Stranglehold and sort of fractioned off. Then another band became the Oysters. And I did, and I was proud of that cover. But I also drew the cover for, and it wasn't a Tang record, or it may have ended up being a Tang record. It was for a band called DYS. I drew their cover. I have some illustration skills, and I went to a community college to help develop them. And I love, I draw with my children now. I draw now probably more than I've ever really been able to throughout my life, but I'm holding a pencil right now. I'm always kind of sketching on things or drawing on things. And so, yes, I did do that. Tang Records was the first record label that the BossTones were on, and it was owned by, and still is owned by, a guy named Curtis Casella. And he was just a friend of ours and part of the punk rock scene. He went to Emerson College and was a disc jockey on WERS, the Emerson College radio station. Curtis had some money that his father gave him, and he was trying to figure out what he should do. And I can remember saying, you should start a label. And he's like, yeah, I want to start a label. Then he named it Tang. Then he started signing some of our friends and people that we hung out with and putting out records for them. And then I talked him into putting out the BossTones' very first record, and he did that. And it could probably be his biggest seller, but he put out Lemonheads records later. He had a lot of pretty decent Boston-centric bands, both hardcore and sort of poppier stuff later on. But yes, I know you were asking about that Oysters cover, but I did do it.
Why did you stop doing album covers?
I didn't stop. I still consider myself to be the guy that's designed the BossTones records, even though I employed other artists. When I went to the community college, the guy that was in charge of the whole art program said you'd be an excellent art director. And I think, my skills are very stylistic. I consider my drawing and my artistic ability to be the same as my singing. It's very sort of dialed in, and this is what it is. And, now with the Instagram and the internet and everything, you see other artists and, they're much better. The guy that designed the album cover for my band, The Defiant, and his name's Yosef, and he calls himself Yo-Yo Yosef. He's a tremendous, tremendous artist, and his ability and his skills are incredible. So, he's one of the artists that I really, really appreciate.
The cover art for the Defiant album is beautiful. It's imaginative, and it's gorgeous.
It came out of my head, but Yosef's hand. So,
hey, just like this. So my artwork, I designed it, but I can't draw for shit. So I had somebody else put it together for me.
Right.
So me too. And by the way, I want to say you are a terrible at being a narcissist. you called yourself a narcissist at the beginning, but you're like, oh, I don't do this well and I don't do that well.
I called your father a narcissist too, Steve. I don't know if this is to your podcast, but I apologize, Steve the First.
Love it.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors.
Hey, Streetwalkers. On February 26th, we will release our 400th episode. I want to give each and every one of you a huge thank you for riding with me all the way to this giant mile marker. For the first time since the show started, I'm going to be taking a little break for the month of March. There will be no new episodes, but instead, I'll release an older episode every weekday of the month in a best of style, showcasing some of my wife's favorite conversations. Enjoy these 21 Fascination Street classics Monday through Friday, every weekday in the month of March, and I'll be back with all new episodes beginning April 1st. I couldn't do this without you, so tell a friend, and thanks again for being Streetwalkers.
Let's get back into it.
Okay, so when did you become a wordsmith? Like, when did you know that you could write lyrics?
That was early on, and that I'll brag about. I think that I'm very good at putting words together. I started writing poetry in junior high with an interest in lyrics because I loved rock and roll. I loved bands like the Jay Giles Band was one of my all-time favorite bands as a kid. And they were from the area where I grew up, but I loved lyrics. And when I met people who didn't like, I'd say, oh, these words are so great. And they're like, oh, what are they saying? I'm like, and we're both enjoying the same song. And like, as someone who's, I'm not really into lyrics, like that to me, my head goes, whoa, how can you love rock and roll and not be into lyrics? Or how can you love popular music or music? I mean, that's what they're trying to say. And I do have an appreciation for the music that surrounds it, but I was always a lyrics guy. So I was writing these poems, and then there was a teacher at my junior high, an English teacher. His name was Mr. Powell, and he came in from the city. I lived in a bedroom community in suburban town of Norwood, Massachusetts is where I grew up. He came in from Boston, from the city, and he was like the basketball coach, but he was also an English teacher, but he wasn't my English teacher. And he found out that I was writing poetry, and my English teacher shared poems that I had written and stuff. He just took an interest in me and handed me a stack of these blue field notebooks and said, here, fill these with poems. And I did. I started writing them. He was just a great guy. And he's still with us. And, for years, people would come to my shows and say, oh, I have Mr. Powell. He read my poems were part of his curriculum. If you took Mr. Powell's English class, it was all of a sudden you were studying the poems of Dicky Barrett, which then, he would add my lyrics into the course, which I was always kind of proud of that, very proud of that, and glad that I met that guy. I never slept on that. To this day, when I write lyrics, they're never truly done until it's been released. And even then I'm like, oh, I wish I said this, but I would study. And now with my phone, writing in the notes, but, I used to do it with one of these, Steve, and meticulously write them. And you'd finish and you go, oh, I just finished writing all these lyrics, but this line could be better. Write it over. It's my passion.
It is. Well, you're good at your passion. I'll say that. You are passionate about your passion, and it comes across. Your lyrics are dope as hell.
Thank you.
Mighty Mighty BossToneS, my all-time favorite Mighty Mighty BossToneS song.
I want to know.
Is Where Did You Go?
It's an early one.
I love that song so much. I had to buy new speakers in my car when that song came out. That song tells an entire story in whatever it is, 3.5 minutes, whatever the length of that song is. It tells such a great story, like from beginning to end. And the way you wrote it, Mr. Lyricist, Mr. Wordsmith, I could imagine myself in that situation, mostly because I had just been in that situation. It was one of those things where it was that right time in my life where it hit me at the moment that I could transfer the meaning of that song onto what was going on in my life, which I'm sure people do all the time. But is there a thing that you wrote that song about? Like, is that song about a specific event?
Yes. I came home. She wasn't there. I waited for her to be there. Time went on. The course of the night, I sort of realized what was going down, but tried not to really think about it. And then forced myself to deal with the reality that I had been left. And then I went to Joe's house.
Joe Gittles? Joe
Gittleman. By the break of day, I went there. And then that's where I lived
How long after that event until you wrote that song? Did you go over to Joe's house and then write the song?
Not that long after. I mean, I knew I was looking back on it. I wasn't writing it in real time. I didn't document it as I went down, which it kind of sounds like.
It kind of does. It's very plotting, like methodical, like it's very timely.
Yeah. I did like the fact that I did this, then I did this, then I did this, then I did this. It really sounds like a guy losing his mind. and then some of the stuff is like, well, why did you do that? And why? It's like, don't ask me why I did. I just did that. And I wrote the song with Nate, the original BossToneS guitar player, who had a real kind of feel for the rhythm of the lyrics and didn't want to compromise that with, anything that was overly melodic.
I have a super selfish question to ask you, and you could say no, and that's fine. Can I play Where Did You Go in this episode?
Oh, yeah. Shit.
Would you introduce it like you're a radio DJ?
I was a radio DJ.
I know. That's why I said it.
For those of you who haven't bailed, this is the Mighty Mighty BossToneS from the album More Noise and Other Disturbances. This is the song, Where Did You Go?
Again, that's my all-time favorite Mighty Mighty BossToneS song. Now, Mighty Mighty BossToneS did have a song and appeared in the film Clueless.
Yes.
I know why you did it. It was basically for tax reasons, but what did being in the movie and on the soundtrack do for the BossToneS overall?
It's difficult to measure that. Like when you ask me these questions, and it's tough to say, when you ask me about the Warped Tour, what you get from it, but you don't know, because other things are going on at the same time. So I think it gave us more notoriety. I was petrified about doing it and wasn't all that into it. Didn't like the premise when presented to me at the time, but I did like the person who made the movie. Amy Heckerling made Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and she made Clueless. So I sort of trusted that. But, when someone said, oh, it's about Beverly Hills high school kids, they're very well off. And I was like, I'm a dude from Boston, so it felt like it wasn't where I should be. But then when all was said and done, it's sort of a legendary historical sort of film that kind of chronicles that particular time in the mid-90s very well. And I think that to this day, my daughters are sort of think it's cool that I was in that movie, although they haven't seen it yet. But, friends and people at the school is like, your father's in Clueless. I was at Joey's, who plays guitar for the Defiant. His name's Joe LaRocca. And I was at his house not that long ago. I was staying over. We were playing down in Southern California with the Aquabats. And his daughter came home from a party she was at. And it was a movie party. She was like thrilled. And I'm there. And then she's like, oh my God, I wish I knew you were coming here. I could have invited you to this party. We watched Clueless. And I was like, oh, hey, all right. So it's still hip with the kids, that movie. So it keeps me kind of cool.
Love it.
Did you like that movie, Steve?
I did, but this is going to sound so weird. I liked it for all of the reasons that were not the girls of the film. I liked the interaction that all the dudes in the film had. Like, I think Donald Faison from Scrubs, I think he was in that movie.
Yeah, right.
It was, sort of the time and place of that whole thing. I enjoyed it. It was a good film.
Right. Definitely is a time capsule.
Oh, for sure. A time capsule. And like you said, it's kind of a historical film in, I guess, pop culture, right? It's a touchstone for sure.
Yes.
We're going to talk about the Defiant.
Okay. That's what I'm here for.
Oh, sweet. Well, I'm here for it. The Mighty Mighty BossTones, you and them parted ways for reasons that we're not really going to get into, but let's just say that the song Where Did Lady Liberty Go? That song, if you want to listen to that song, guys, it's on the new album by the Defiant. Where Did Lady Liberty Go? That kind of explains how the Defiant got formed.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Speaking of time capsules, and I think it's a song that I sort of wrote regarding what was going on at the time, 2020, 2021, when everything really went down to sort of the ground zero of COVID, with the right in the sweet spot where people were making decisions and making choices and doing things that were unusual, unorthodox, and very, very of the time. So I tried to sort of, in poetry, in rhyme, and in song, write my recollection and convey the events. And I did it in my typical fashion where it's like, what does he mean? And this could mean this, but it could also mean this. And I had a lot of fun writing that song.
I'm sure you did. The Defiant consists of Dicky Barrett, formerly of the Mighty Mighty BossTones, Johnny Rue. Am I saying that right? Rue?
You're real close. It's Rio.
Rio. Okay, sorry. Johnny Rio from Street Dogs, Pete Parada from The Offspring, Saves the Day Alkaline Trio, a bunch of other stuff. Greg Camp from Smash Mouth, and Joe LaRocca. What's Joe LaRocca from?
I call him Joe LaRocca and have been calling him Joe LaRocca, but his name's Joe LaRocca. And Joe LaRocca was in a Los Angeles street punk band that did quite well and still plays to this day called the Briggs.
The Briggs. Okay. For, again, reasons that are basically explained in Where Did Lady Liberty Go, all of the members of the Defiant have separated from the bands that they're known for because of basically events that transpired during COVID, right? Ish?
That is not true, Steve.
Oh, hit me.
No disrespect or offense taken.
Sure, of course.
Any question you want to ask me, I have no problem answering those questions. And I appreciate you being polite and trying to tiptoe around things that you might feel that I'm sensitive about. But at this point, I'm willing to discuss anything you want.
All right, do it. Lay it out.
Come with it.
Get bare bones with me.
All right, dude, here it is. You're going to get it all. No, Joey still performs. The Briggs is his band and still performs with the Briggs. Greg hasn't been in Smash Mouth in many years, but he's the guy that, wrote the songs you're most familiar with for Smash Mouth. And Pete left the Offspring because, the Offspring insisted that he get a COVID shot, and his doctor told him, whatever you do, Pete, don't get a COVID shot. And then the Offspring said, well, you got to get a COVID shot. And Pete said, but my doctor said. And then the Offspring said, we don't give a shit what your doctor said. And then they ceremoniously drummed him out of his drumming position as drummer of the Offspring band, or should I say unceremoniously. The story, and Pete tells it much better than I do, is kind of a real sad one, because he's a great, great guy and an exceptional drummer. He's one of the best out there working today. But, he really kind of didn't deserve that and was blindsided by management of that band that were super insensitive. And then the members themselves sort of took the side of management and just let him go like that. And he considered himself good friends with those guys. And, he uses the word family, and his family and their families were all close. And I'm not sure. I think it was like 15 years, maybe more, as their drummer. And then in my case, I'd said early on, and I told the band that I felt like the way things are going, that we're all going to be forced to get COVID shots in order to continue in this band. And I said, I won't be doing that. To their credit, they said, well, you're out of your mind, and, don't worry about that. That's a crazy thing to say, because they couldn't really get their brains around, who was going to tell us and why, how that's going to happen. But sure enough, as time went by, it seemed pretty mandatory. And companies like Live Nation were saying, you can't play this venue. And then countries were saying you can't tour here or come here or enter the country. As you remember, and everybody knows, it was a crazy time. But I had made that decision. I didn't want to be involved in any of that. And I felt that was my decision. At the time, I was also the announcer on Jimmy Kimmel Live, that show, and its parent company, Disney, said all people working for anything Disney have to get this COVID shot. And I had told my friend and my boss that I wasn't going to do that. And he did all he could to keep me, but there was only so much, according to him, that he could do. And then I was let go. And then I also was simultaneously kind of working with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who was battling hard, any kind of mandatory or mandates. And he had a rally in D.C., a no mandates rally, and asked me if I would recreate a song that was originally recorded and written by Graham Nash of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. So we did a parody of one of his songs, but it was a, protest song used to protest the vaccine mandates that were looming and on the horizon, which ultimately didn't happen, but a great deal of damage was done by the threat of the looming mandates. So when I created that song, it got a lot of attention, including Rolling Stone wrote about this song and rally that Bobby was involved in DC. And it didn't sit well with certain members of the band I had been in for many years. And against my own wishes, founding members didn't want to continue as the Mighty Mighty BossTones, with me now publicly sort of the punk rock face of all things, anti-vax, which was just sort of happened to me, but I don't regret it. I believe what I believe, and I believe my beliefs are true and strong. And at the very least, I think I should be able to have them. And so that's that story, Steve.
So you lost your band and you lost your announcing gig with Jimmy Kimmel Live because of your beliefs. Do you think it was worth it?
There's a lot of things I didn't lose, Steve. I didn't lose my integrity, but, that happened. And they made choices that said, with you being somehow the poster child of all of this, we didn't sign on for that. And I understand that. And at that time, there was a lot of great unknown. And I do that because I felt like I knew what the deal was and what was happening, but I can't say the same thing for a lot of other people, but that is what it was. What was the question, Steve?
Was it worth it?
Well, see, you are good at this. That's a great question. I wish none of this ever happened. I wish that it didn't exist. The divisiveness and the division that seemed to be the main goal and the main objective and the actual agenda was to divide us all in a way. And so many things politically and to fracture everybody and pull us apart. So I wish that didn't go down. I love making music with the Defiant. I loved making music with the BossTones. Financially, it sucks. Announcing was easy and fun, and I enjoyed being part of that. I did that for 20 years. So the answer to that would be yes and no. Yes, I wouldn't have done anything differently personally. All I believed was I should be able to make my own choices, and I was allowing other people to make their choices. I wasn't going to stand in anybody's way. I have my own opinions on that, but that wasn't a two-way street. The way it worked was, we're going to make our choices and we're going to make your choices, and that didn't seem right to me.
It's not very punk rock.
I agree with you.
It's not very punk rock to make your choices for you.
To me, it's not very punk rock when the government says, this is what we're doing, and this is what you have to do, and here, put this in your body, take this. And then you go, wait a minute, what? And they go, no, you don't even ask questions. You just do it. And then you go, why? And then they go, shut up. Don't ask that question. Be quiet, Dickie. You're out of line. Just take this. And then you go, well, what about my friend Pete? His doctor, he's had an adverse reaction to these sort of shots in the past. And it's like, shut up. He's got to take it too. So, yes, I mean, to me, it felt like when we named a record Question the Answers and songs like Question Authority, it seemed like that's what we were supposed to do, and that none of that happened. It felt like, okay, now's the time. It's on. We've been in punk rock training all of our lives. The government is telling us to do that. And then I turn around and everybody's listening and saying, quiet down, Dickie. We're listening to the government. They're telling us something, and we can't miss the instructions.
Yeah, I think punk rock was created as an anti-establishment pushback.
Yeah, I always thought it was, fuck you first, and at least ask some questions.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors. Let's get back into it.
Is there a scenario where Mighty Mighty BossTones get a new singer and you guys are on the same bill?
I don't know. Here comes my narcissism. It's difficult for me to imagine.
Sure. Is the Defiant going to play the hometown throwdown in Boston?
The hometown throwdown is the BossTones. That's
right.
Our annual event. That's our annual concert. So there's no BossTones. There'll be no throwdown.
All right. The BossTones song, Someday I Suppose, is the theme song for the Adam Carolla show, ACS as it were.
Do you listen?
Adam's been on the show. Almost everybody who works for Adam has been on the show. Drew's been on the show a couple of times.
You're telling me Adam's been on Fascination Street?
Yeah, Adam was episode 100.
Shit. I got to do my Fascination Street research.
Oh, yeah, you'd be blown away. I even got to record an episode or two of Fascination Street in the Adam Carolla studios, sitting in Adam's chair.
Really?
Yeah.
He's not the kind of guy that's like particular about his chair. Like, oh, all right, you're sitting in my chair. I saw Adam the other day, by the way.
You see him all the time, I would imagine. You guys are pretty good friends.
Not enough anymore, because I live in Arizona now, and he still lives in Cali.
Yeah, for now.
True.
But yes, huge fan of that show. I was there from day one when it turned into a podcast. But I wanted to know, when did he ask you, and how flattered were you when he said, hey, can I use your song as my theme song?
I think he started using it on the radio show he had first and just carried it on. He goes in with Someday I Suppose, and then goes out with Rascal King. That's his outro song. And then he used Rascal King in the boxing movie he made. Super flattered, but we've been friends before there was such a thing as Someday I Suppose or Rascal King. We became friends early on in BossTones touring when he was just doing characters on K-Rock. Mr. Burcham and calling in, and Jimmy was Jimmy the sports guy on K-Rock at the time, and we would come do K-Rock events, and we met Adam, and Adam just became a pal very, very early on. But so, yeah, very flattered. Do you listen to him and Drew, their show?
Yeah, I listen to their show too. I love Drew. Drew's been on twice also.
He's great.
He is great. Another previous guest of the show, who also happens to be the outgoing message on my personal voicemail, Mike Dawson.
I saw Dawson the other day.
I know. I'm looking at a picture of it right here.
Me and Dawson?
Yeah, it's you and Dawson. Mike posted the other day, and I quote, Dicky from the BossToneS came to the show tonight. Believe it or not, he was one of the first friends I made when I moved to LA in '06. Check out his new band, The Defiant. Love this dude, as you were. Tell me about being friends with Mike Dawson.
Love this dude.
How did you guys meet?
I don't know that story, but my heart is definitely warmed by the fact that he holds me that dear. I saw him do stand-up comedy the other night in Phoenix. He opened up for Adam. And I don't want to insult the guy, but I didn't think he was going to be as good as he was, to put it lightly. I think what he does with the voices and really, really good radio voice, I think he's great at that. I'm lucky he didn't take my announcing job, my Kimmel job from me, because he's much better speaking voice and voice than I have. I couldn't say it where we met. I was doing a radio in LA. He had started working for Adam, doing all of the stuff that he does for Adams to this day. He was very, very helpful about helping me be an on-air DJ, which I had no experience at that time. But he's a pro. He's as good as they get. And a good dude. What you see is what you get, or what you hear is what you get. I got to look that up. Maybe I should start following Dawson.
You probably should start following Dawson.
It would be nice, right?
Yeah, it'd be sweet. It'd be sweet. Yeah, everybody from Adam on down, everybody over in the Corolla universe has just welcomed me with open arms. I have been to the studio a million times. Like I said, I've recorded my show in his studio. Almost everybody in that building has been on my show at least once, and they're all friendly, super, super friendly.
So can I be a return guest? Is that possible?
I would 100% love for you to be a return guest. You can come on whenever you want.
Oh, good. I'm glad. It would be funny. Like, well, we'll talk, Dicky. We'll talk off the air here. You know.
No. You're awesome. I'll do anything with you. You're rad as balls. I have just a couple more questions, and then I'll let you go until next time, if that's okay.
Okay.
Where can people find you and find out more about the Defiant on social media?
Well, there's Defiant Official on Instagram. I know that for sure. Website, and we have all those things. You know, maybe I should have sent those to you in advance.
No, everybody can go search for it. I just wanted to see if you knew.
Most difficult question I asked Dicky. The one thing he had trouble with is, where are you currently? It's also the most important shit.
Oh, since you just said the phrase, where are you? I have another question for you. As we're going out, can I play Where Were You? Because that is my favorite song off this new album.
What do you think would happen if you played without asking me?
Well, I think that, you could talk some shit about me. You could call the people who aren't your friends anymore over at Rolling Stone and tell them to give me a rash of shit.
I wouldn't.
I don't know. I could get a cease and desist, but more importantly, I could piss you off, and I don't want to do that.
People always say that to me, you know, we're going to get a cease and desist. Okay, when I get the cease and desist, you know what I'll do? I'll cease and I'll desist, you know.
I care less about the cease and desist and more about, I don't want to piss you off. That's not my intent at all.
That's sweet of you. You're a very sweet man for saying that, but I can't imagine. If you played it, it would be good for me, I think. So then people go, oh, you know, he spent the last hour stammering and stuttering and shitty stories, and I tolerated that. But, oh, that song was good. I think that would save me.
You're hilarious. Guys, this is Where Were You off the new album by The Defiant. What's the name of the album, Dicky?
The album is called If We're Really Being Honest.
If We're Really Being Honest. That's a great name for a debut album, by the way.
Tell you I am better than nothing.
on television. If this road is my only path, someone else can do the math. I'm tired of the long division. The windshield doesn't look quite right. Here's hoping that it might get brighter. The future's brighter, right? Where were you when it all went down? When I needed someone, you weren't around. Why was it that you were nowhere to be found when I needed you most? Tell me where it was that you were at the time, and where did you go? Pardon me for asking you, but I'd like to know. Where were you? Where did you go? I'd like to know. Where were you when it all went down? When I needed someone, you weren't around. Why was it that you were nowhere to be found when I needed you most? Tell me where it was that you were.
Dickie, is there anything we didn't talk about or I didn't ask you about specifically that you wanted to talk about today? Did I miss something? Did we cover everything?
No, I really enjoyed talking to you. As I mentioned earlier, I think you're really good at this. I'm now a fan. I'm going to do two things when I hang up. I'm going to start following Dawson. I'm going to go to Spotify and put Fascination Street as one of my must listen to podcasts.
Love it. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. I'm coming up on 400 episodes, so you got a lot of catching up to do.
What number am I?
I haven't decided yet. You might even be 400.
Oh, could I please?
Yeah, you can be 400. Boom, there it is.
Thank you.
Episode number 400 with Dickie Barrett. And you know what I think I'm going to do? I'll surprise you. I'm gonna surprise you with the intro. We'll see what happens.
Use any songs you want to use. I'm absolutely fine with that. I respect and value your judgment. So have at it.
You're sick man, and I love every bit of it. The next time you guys are rolling through San Antonio or Austin,
Yes.
holler at a fat kid, dude. I will be there, and I won't even wear bells.
If you showed up with the friggin' bells on, I would be bummed. Hey, thank you, Steve.
It was 100% my pleasure. Have a great rest of your weekend, and thank you so much for doing this, dude. I appreciate it. You're a legend.
Bye.
Bye, buddy. Thank you so much.
Opening music is the song FSP Theme, written, performed, and provided by Ambush Vin.
Closing music is from the song Say My Name off the 2021 album Underdog Anthems, used with permission from Jax Hollow. If you like the show, tell a friend, subscribe, and rate and review the show on iTunes and wherever else you download podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. All the episodes are available there as well. Check me out on Vero at Fascination Street Pod and TikTok at Fascination Street Pod. And again, thanks for listening.